Hey, what's up, fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard youth coming at you live from two different states. Fantasy best friends
Forever.
for life, or until the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, it depends who does better and who has a grudge.
Well, Jason, you want to tell these fine people what they can do to help us?
Yeah, I know people are watching, but if you could do us a favor and like it, and we're seeing the views. If we could just get some likes, that'd be great. If people are viewing and they're like, I don't like this crap, I'm turning off. You can also do a dislike too. We'll take it. We'll take what we can get. And if we could get some more subscriptions, we need to get us up to 50 so Tyler could go live on the mobile. Time to go mobile. That'd be great if we could do that. Leave some comments too. We love interaction with you guys.
Thanks, Jason. That was awesome. I really liked the Bane impression. What are you gonna do now? I thought you were gonna put something over your face.
Bring her to me.
So, anyways, before we start, I just want to talk about your one player yesterday, Jason. Your standout. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I do, and I think it goes to the part of the name of the lucky bastard, because I had that player, that running back, who got me over 50 points, 5 total touchdowns. A guy that I was trying to trade days before and decided against it, and he got me 50 points. He basically won the game for me. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even believe it. It just kept. Tyler was the one that was like, Mixon, and I was like, oh, he's hurt. Oh, I should have traded him. He got hurt. And I looked, and it was like a touchdown. I thought I had a glitch on my phone, and touchdown. I'm like, dude, there's no way. And for how greedy we could be in fantasy football, like if that game was close, maybe after a halftime, he could have got me more points. But he got one more touchdown after halftime, and they basically up like 42-0 or something like that. And they're just like, all right, let's take this kid out of the game.
He had 45 points at half, which is insane. But I was talking to you about this before, but I just kind of want to ask you, as a Mixon owner now, how do you feel about him? Do you want to hold him, trade him?
Well, see, right now, so he finally did something with his number one or first round pick, which is great. But now I'm like, okay, maybe with Jamar Chase out for a couple of games, that they're really going to focus on Mixon and do what they can to like fix the run and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm hoping for. So now that I'm like, I kind of want to hold on to this guy. He may not give me another 50-point game, but maybe they're really going to focus around him and do what they can to keep themselves in the division in for the race for the playoffs. And he could actually be more productive, be more of a first round pick.
So Jason is holding, and I like your logic there. So I think that's awesome.
You had a nice little factoid about the whole like 50-point games, right?
Oh yeah. So anyways, since 1990, the only other people with 200 plus yards, 5 touchdowns, Sean Alexander, Clinton Portis, Jamal Charles, Jonathan Taylor, which is kind of hard to believe. Sorry, my dog's butt is pushing my camera all over the place. And now Joe Mixon. So he's joined a very exclusive group, and it's kind of crazy. I remember Sean Alexander being dominant, but I don't remember him having 5 touchdowns. That seems crazy.
Yeah. I also think there's a player in there, Doug Martin. Did you say Doug Martin?
No, dude, because this was just off
against
of
the Raiders. Twitter. Doug Martin against the Raiders. He got like around 60 points, because I think he had like 4 or 5 touchdowns, but they were like longer than 50 yards.
Do you remember his nickname?
Like the hamster or something like that?
The
muscle hamster. To add on to like the lucky bastard, I also had Jonathan Taylor last year where he got those 50 points, which was awesome because he also did it against the Bills in Buffalo. I remember that. That was crazy. And then you said Jamal Charles. He did that against the Raiders. I also had him on my team that year too.
That was a crazy year because him and somebody else were just going nuts on that team.
Yeah.
But anyways,
when you get players that can produce that, and even in one game, it's almost a guaranteed win. Side note, one year that I had Drew Brees, Drew Brees got me over 50 points. He was in this crazy game against Eli Manning and the Giants at the Superdome, or not the Superdome. I think Superdome was old school. No, in New Orleans, got me 50 points. I still end up losing that week, and I had Brandon Cooks on that same team, so it was like Drew Brees, Brandon Cooks, and I still lost that week.
You forget that he probably threw for like 450 and 5 touchdowns or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, Jason, first game. This is week 9. Sunday breakdowns. We're going over games that Jason and I watch with our own eyeballs, at least.
Yeah.
Can't watch them all. We're poor. And watching fantasy and watching football games is expensive.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
It's crazy expensive, man. Crazy expensive. But I can watch highlights on YouTube. So can you. Everybody at home, too. Hey, it's great. I was telling people, do that for skill position players. That's great. But, as far as offensive linemen, just listen to people that played in the NFL before.
Mm-hmm.
But first game, Seattle versus Arizona. You want to do that one?
We can do that one. Let me just flip a page. Part of the reason why I really wanted to watch this game is because I was a couple of weeks earlier, I was in Seattle when it was Cardinals against Seattle, or against the Seahawks in Seattle. This time there was a few things that were different. I wanted to see how it was going to be with a rematch, how it was going to be with the Cardinals at home, and how it was going to be with Hopkins back. Hopkins was playing this game, and James Conner was playing this game, and those two individuals weren't in the previous game. So I wanted to look at that. And I tell you what, I also wrote down here. I put Hopkins back, and Murray needs anger management? ? I wanted to see what was going to happen. He's always yelling all the time. I think it was like the first or second drive for the Cardinals. It was Hopkins he had that 20-yard touchdown, and I was like, oh baby, here we go, another person that's going to blow up for me. He only finished with 4 grabs and a touchdown, and he only had one reception in the second half.
Yeah, because I was going against your sister who started Rondell Moore in that game.
Yeah, he's the one.
And I was like, oh, dude, they're gonna hyper focus. Don't worry, Tyler. He's gonna hyper focus on Hopkins all game. Look at this.
Yeah.
And then Rondell Moore ended up leading in targets.
Yep.
So
he had 10 targets, 8 receptions, 69 yards. Rondell Moore, and DeAndre Hopkins had 4 receptions, 31 or 36 yards, 1 touchdown. But he was quiet in the second half. I think he only had 1 reception in the second half.
I think that if opposing defenses really just want to double, triple team him, they can. And that's why, I think he can. It's not like he's super fast or anything anymore. He's just really good at running routes and catching the ball. But if you want to double team and triple team, you can stop him. So I think that's what happened.
They also, he caught another touchdown. It was a fade route, back shoulder to him. He caught it. I was like, no money, no problems. But they called it back, false start. Cardinals.
Yeah, I could see him in the end zone. I can see where you can't really just triple team him like that.
Right.
I could see his red zone. That's where his value is the red zone, end zone targets. I'm not worried. I hold a Hopkins. You already held him so long. You're holding until the end of the year.
Yeah.
And Rondell Moore, he's been on the waiver show for a month and a half. I swear to God. But Hollywood Brown, we're just saying that he's coming. I guess he's returning faster than expected. So expect a timeline soon for that. But you can start Rondell Moore every week until Hollywood Brown comes back.
I actually had Rondell Moore, and the only reason why I dropped him is because Hopkins came back, and I wasn't going to have 2 wide receivers from the same team.
No, I remember you saying that, and I was going to pick up Rondell Moore, but I decided to go with Josh Palmer instead, and we'll talk about. I think we'll talk about that later. So
yeah, we'll go into that.
That's what I got out of that. That's what I got out of that. And Connor, did you watch the game? Did Connor look normal?
Well, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. There was a lot of mistakes for the Cardinals. It's not necessarily their offense was really playing bad, but they were making a lot of mistakes. I think they had a new center. I think their center before, if I remember, the center got hurt, so they had a new one, and he kept hiking the ball over Murray. Murray was scrambling to get it, then it ended up being a sack.
Mm-hmm.
Murray got sacked 5 times in that game. The good thing about, and Murray even lost fumble. He had a great, I think it was like a 21-yard run. At the end of it, he lost it. And then he went to the sideline and he started yelling at Hopkins, and he's like, "This is what all you see." I'm like, damn, this guy needs to talk to Phil Nicholson, man, and get some anger management.
Oh, is that about? I thought you were saying like Phil, like Dr. Phil, or are you saying
Phil
like
Nicholson and anger management with Adam Sandler.
Oh, dude, that you're talking about. All right.
So I wanted to put down that he's still angry, which isn't good. And I do notice after that argument with Hopkins didn't get a lot of targets after that. That one play where I said he did score a touchdown, they had to call it back because I think it was a false start on the Cardinals. Next play, Zach Ertz is the one that caught the touchdown. So Zach Ertz he's one of the tight ends you're probably starting every week. You should start every week.
Oh, well, he's a volume player, and
Yeah.
And I think the important thing is that he's still getting volume with Hopkins there. So 8 targets, got his touchdown, which you can't expect a touchdown, especially with Hopkins there now. I would assume that he gets like maybe two more touchdowns the rest of the year, but the volume is always going to be there, and that's what you play him for. So I think he did well. And then Eno Benjamin, whatever, got 4 carries to Connor's 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling the guy that was asking Connor or Pacheco, and I was like, man, I would bet on Connor to get double-digit carries. If he plays, I thought for sure he'd get at least 10 carries. So I thought that was interesting. But he did get 5 receptions, so he made up for some of that.
He did, but like I said, it was more mistakes. I was like stalling the Cardinals drive. They
Coaching,
they would get going, and then just like dumb stuff happened, penalties, or like the hike was all messed up, or just like somebody not reading a certain route and punt the ball.
Well, because I don't watch the fantasy footballers much anymore, because I don't want to be like repeating what they say, so I just don't watch them.
Mm-hmm.
But my opinion, like Arizona fans hate Cliff Kingsbury, man. They think that he sucks. So
yeah.
And then you see stuff like this,
So
and I guarantee they're talking about how bad coaching is. So,
well, one coach got fired.
Hey, it's Saturday. It's not Monday.
Not Monday.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
He looks like a new man. He's like lost 200 pounds.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he doesn't need to be bulky or eat anymore. He's probably like eating only 2,000 calories a day.
So even with Skywalker, the chosen one, getting 26 carries, I was going against him. Figures. I mean, I already knew this was going to happen, but he got held in check, dude. I was like projected to win for a little while because he was getting nothing. Mm-hmm. And but hey, if you're a Walker owner, this should be very encouraging to you, because Pete Carroll's not going to give up on this. He's just going to keep on running it until it happens. And he's got so much talent. He's going to bust some long runs. So,
yeah. And he also got targeted 4 times. He looked different towards the end of the second half, man, because he had those young legs going up against a tired defense. Ended up finishing the night with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So that worked out for everybody. Even had those 3 receptions for 20. I mean, that's great. If you PPR or even half PPR, that's awesome.
Yeah, 7 touchdowns since week 5, man. He's rise of the Skywalker.
He's running back number 4 since like week 3 or something.
Yeah.
And then rise of the Skywalker. That's good. And then Gino, he's do you still own Gino or no?
I've never had him. I wish I did. Well, actually, I have.
That's right.
I have them in my PPR league that I'm not a big fan of, because they take away points for even when quarterbacks get sacked, which I hate. I don't understand it. It's so anyway. So he
terrible.
it is. I don't understand it. Like, it's even this year where there's quarterbacks not producing as much. So it's like if they get 3 sacks, they get sacked 3 times, that's minus 3 points in the game. But anyways, he had a pretty good game. He almost had 300 yards. It was 275, 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, but he also ran 6 times for 38 yards.
Yeah,
so he put up good numbers.
He's still rushing, even with the the emergence of their number 1 back.
Yeah,
and the other running backs got 1 carry apiece.
It wasn't even close.
And then I thought it was great that, it's great for Geno going forward because Metcalf and Lockett were supposed to be out for a while, dude. For a couple, like what, last week or something, and they're already back, and they both got a touchdown apiece. So
yeah,
I mean, if you're Lockett and Metcalf, unless you want to bundle something up and trade and upgrade your thing, I wouldn't mind keeping them. I mean, it's so crazy thinking that they're actually viable this year, but they are.
right.
And I would like to. And then Fant, he has been injured and off and on and all that stuff, but pay attention to Fant in this offense because that's who they traded for. They got him in that trade.
96 yards, 5 receptions,
dude, and he's a super athletic. Like Disley's cool, but he's not very fast or athletic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Noah Font had a great 51 yards there to kind of close off the game, which was huge because then it set up like a few plays later that Kenneth Skywalker to get his second touchdown of the game.
Yeah, so you're holding Walker till the bitter end, and that's you're gonna ride that dude. Geno could be a quarterback for somebody going deep in the playoffs, depending on how your roster is. And there was a stat last night about how like if this is your first year playing fantasy, this is not normal, okay? With the quarterbacks and everything, like it is insane. And the amount of scoring is like down, like the lowest scoring since like 1999 or what 2000.
Right. It is insane. You would feel like this was the year of COVID.
I was like
with
COVID,
players missing, but
COVID, and then concussion, no scoring, terrible quarterback play, terrible offensive line. Like what? So it's a pretty crazy year so far as far as that goes.
You know what this means is this is going to set up a draft for next year being way different.
And there was like a survey on Reddit today, and it's like so many auto draft teams and new players are at the top of their league. Like if you did your research this year and like got players, they're all bust, dude. Yeah. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. We got people in our league who are like that. They don't really do the research or their auto draft, and they're doing better than us. And it's just like
auto draft teams that haven't made a move are like 5-3, and like it's like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
But hey, this is why we play fantasy football. I mean, it's if it was always predictable, we wouldn't even have a show, Jason.
Right. Exactly.
So anyways, yeah. So yeah, I'm done with that game. If you want to package Lockett, Metcalf, send them off. You can, but don't mind holding them. Look into Fant, and if you're Disley, you can probably drop them. Better options out there now.
Yeah, Tyler had 5 targets while DK had 6, and they both ended up with 5 receptions and touchdowns. So,
and I was supposed to start with this game, Jason. You want to talk about the Chargers?
Let me flip back here.
My bad, dude.
Oh no,
I
you're
usually
fine.
go in order of
You're
what's
fine.
in.
All right, I watched the Chargers and Atlanta game. There's a few things I wanted to watch in this game. First off, I wanted to watch Jordan Palmer, right?
And yeah, Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer. Are you sure it's not Jordan?
I've been saying his name for like a month and a half. Dude, I think there's a Jordan Palmer, but that's Carson Palmer's brother.
No. Oh, there is. Yeah. I'm gonna look into.
My phone is all I've got, dude. My phone is all I've got.
I know. Go to ESPN like right now and see the. Okay, Jay Palmer, Joshua Palmer. So there's Joshua Palmer. Everyone had their eyes on Joshua Palmer. Cousins of Jordan Palmer. I get him mixed up. He plays on the practice team for the Chargers. Anyway, he was the talk of the town. Talk of the fantasy world just because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen not being in. I also wanted to look at the Falcons run game because they were so dominant last week against Carolina. I wanted to see how that was going to turn out. One of the first things that I noticed is that the Chargers in the last like 4 or 5 games have started off slow, started off trailing by 10 points in each game. Mm-hmm. And that's something that could be very discouraging, especially if you have someone playing on the Chargers, right? Or like even like Eckler. Eckler started off like crap. Herbert started off like crap. And then, so, they're like, oh, we're down by 10. We gave them that 10-point handicap. Now let's play. Now let's get going. And Eckler is tearing it up. He is tearing it up. Eckler has 10 touchdowns since like week 4.
And you could have got him for cheap, man. In the beginning, you could have got him for cheap.
Yeah. I don't know what the Chargers were really doing, because I remember we were doing previous episodes where we're talking about the Chargers, and Eckler was like sharing time with like 2 other running backs. He was even getting out carried in the first like couple of weeks. The first 3 weeks he doesn't have any touchdown. And then I think they were like, "Oh crap, we have this all-star player. What are we doing this?" They let him loose. He's killing it. He's got 10 touchdowns, and I think he's leading all running backs in receptions too. He has 53 receptions
Oh,
on the year.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I was going against him yesterday, and I was like, "Oh man, look at him. His yardage is so down." Then every time I'd say, "Oh, what was that scoring play?" It's like Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler.
And you're also going against Justin Herbert, who threw him his second touchdown of the game.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I wasn't like, at least it didn't blow up my team. I mean, Justin Herbert didn't score that many points, and Eckler just sucks because there were touchdown points. You couldn't think about, like, when you see that, you're like, oh, if he just didn't have one touchdown, it would have been so much different. He would have had a bad game.
Yeah, because 14 for 47 on the ground, 1 touchdown, 7 for 24 and 1 touchdown in the air with 9 targets.
If he had no
take away
touchdowns,
those.
I'd been like,
Yeah, take away those touchdowns. Those are really nothing.
that was his worst game by far in a long time. But
Yeah, and Herbert had 245 yards on 1 touchdown, 1 interception that was not his fault, and he wasn't even sacked once.
so, and then I saw that Spiller. The I think it's like Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, that rookie.
Yeah, he was like a hype train in the preseason.
Yeah.
And so he got 7 for 29, which was like, better yards per carry than Austin, but he might be the handcuff to have if you're into handcuffing people.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Eckler is going to do most of his points destroying people is going to be through the air. He's
yeah, and I think what's his name? Keenan Allen is not going to be playing until next year. So I'm not.
Maybe Mike Williams too. They don't even have a timeline with Mike Williams. That he's just on my bench right now. I'm just like,
so. And you'd think that Gerald Everett would be feasting off this, but it seems like Austin Eckler's been benefiting from Keenan Allen being out, and then Josh Palmer going forward was awesome. And then I also said that you could look at Carter and start him. He only got 6 targets, and that the Bandy dude, he's like a second-year player. He had 6 targets last game, and he got 8 targets this game. So he's like
Everett also had 8 targets too.
Yeah. So yeah, but I thought Everett was going to be like, dude, 80 yards and a touchdown, no problem.
Yeah. Well, I think with Palmer, I think whoever picked him up, they're going to be satisfied with him. I think he led. Did he lead in targets with 10?
Yeah, and who told me? Who I've been preaching him since Austin Eckler. He's all playing video games on his Twitch, and he's like, if I was you guys, I'd pick up Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I've been like, dude. If Austin Eckler says to pick up somebody, you pick him up.
Right.
Well, I forget who it was last time, but still,
he also was the person who he had a crazy drop pass, like hit him in the head, bounced up in the air, and the Falcons were able to recover it. I wish there was a stat where it's like, okay, if the ball hits a wide receiver's hands, it does not count as an interception for the quarterback. Oh my God! Like you're getting paid to catch the ball to hit your hand.
I feel like it's been happening a lot this year.
Yeah.
And then Mariota is hot garbage, dude. Hot garbage.
Yeah, I started him just because of like the play that he had last week and like going against the Chargers at home. I started him. I mean, he only got me like 6 or 7 points or something like that.
He's been doing so well, and like, dude, something's up. How can you trust Mariota?
Yeah, I don't know. So part of the thing I was also watching is like Pitts, because Pitts had like a huge game the night or the game before, right? Back-to-back touchdowns. I wanted to see how that was going to end up. He only had probably like 4 points. He did have 7 targets, and they were going after him deep. And Pitts had 2 drop balls, and one of them was just flown over his head. If he would have been able to catch those, because I thought for sure he had sure hands, like he was going to get you a lot more points.
You trading for Pitts if you could?
I would right now. I would try to get Pitts.
What you just told me sounds great. Like,
yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say out of that is like but the 7 targets, it looks like they are going after him now. It looks like he's a
Yeah.
guy that they're actually going to be trying to throw the ball. I mean, it was crazy. Like I've seen it, and it was like deep ball. They just couldn't connect. They just couldn't get it time in this game. But he was getting him attempts downfield, and that was good to see. That's something you want to see out of your players.
Would you trade Pat Freiermuth for Kyle Pitts?
I don't know. That's just because like I feel like even Fairmouth like on a down game would have. I guess if you're playing for a ceiling, I mean, because like I said, Pitt's probably for in our league he only got 3 points. I think Fairmouth is going to end up with more touchdowns than Pitts, even right now with like Claypool being gone too.
We need to see what it's like with Claypool out too, as well. So
yes,
because I was just thinking that's me. I've got Pat Freiermuth, and I was like, I wonder if your dad would accept that trade.
Well, I mean, my dad, or so you also got to see if people are having Pitts on the bench, like my dad had Pitts, and he put him on a bench. He got another tight end. If you're seeing this dude on the bench, like maybe you should try to go for it because if they are trying, this is another game that they were targeting, and I think part of the thing is like Pitts, he lines out like a wideout. Usually tight ends are more on the line, and when that happens, a safety comes in, and what safety do they have? That's just amazing. The Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what safety? You're talking about
Derwin, yeah. But they have him line out like a wide receiver who's going up against a much smaller cornerback. And I think they're starting to Smith might be, or Mariota, whatever the reason is starting to realize this, and maybe they're starting to try to target him more.
Okay. And then London and London started off so well, man.
I know.
Drake London, and then dude, 7 targets, but 3 for 23. So
yeah, well, he got bullied by Khalil Mack. He caught a ball and he was like down by the goal line, and he was like trying to rush. He's all, yeah, and I want in. And Khalil Mack was like, "This is my ball. This is my ball now." He just stripped it from him and just turned around and started running down the other way. It was crazy. I mean, it was good because you're like, oh, London might be able to get a touchdown right here. He's getting pretty close, and stripped the ball out, started running the other way. And you're just like, okay, well, that's -2 points for any Drake London owner.
Well, Drake
London.
So yeah, I mean, he's still worth owning if you're in a deep league. If you're in a 10-man league, don't worry about that dude. In a 12-man league, he's riding your bench probably too. So crazy stuff. And then Algier, dude, you can't find running backs that get around 10 points a game like he's been getting. And I know Cordell Patterson came back, but he still outrushed him. So
yeah, Patterson was mainly used around the goal line.
I was going to say maybe 20-20. I don't know if they're just easing Cordell back in, but I'm sure they want to keep him around. But it's not like they're going to make the playoffs or anything. So I don't know why they wouldn't want to just run Cordell into the ground too. So
yeah, they had 3 running backs that they used. They used Caleb Huntley, who I started on my fantasy team because Patterson wasn't let off the IR till like Saturday night, and by then I was kind of like, F it. I was like, whatever.
Hey, you got Joe Mixon, man.
Right. Patterson played, and then Algier played, and other than the 2 touchdowns for Patterson, Algier, 10 rushes for 99 yards and 1 reception. He at least got you 10 points. Led the league, or he led the team in rushes and rushing yards. Just Patterson. Did you see that touchdown that Patterson did, where he just lowered his head? He lowered his head, and he was at the goal line. It was like the program, dude. Ring down, and they met at the goal line, right? You know what I'm saying? And like Patterson just like lowered his head on Turquille, who was the best tackler on the Chargers, and just plowed him over and just reached over for the touchdown. It was crazy.
So Cordell, I mean, he's worth. I mean, he's probably a top 20, 15 running back. Probably top 15 running back going forward.
Yeah, it was kind
of where he left off.
It was a pretty interesting game. It looks like they're definitely a run first team, pass if needed. Drake London, he's been very consistent with getting 5 points, and now I think they're starting to lead towards Pitts more and the running game. So,
all right. So what we got out of this was, I mean, Herbert's Herbert is not going to, he doesn't have the same ceiling as he did because of his weapons and his injury. Like his injury is still messing with him. And Eckler is a touchdown. He's great. And Spiller is the person to own behind him. Josh Palmer lived up to what you needed. And then try to trade for Pitts. So
yeah, I think Pitts might be the guy going forward. And this will be a good time to get him. You could probably get him low.
And you're playing Russian roulette with Marcus Mariota these days. So
yeah.
What do you think, Jason?
I probably have to stick with Mariota. Mariota's playing against the Cardinals on Thursday night.
Oh, right. What's your other quarterback? Who's your other quarterback?
I don't have one.
Dude, quarterbacks suck. I should just
quarterbacks suck.
I should just trade you Kirk Cousins, man.
I had you Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers on my team until Friday, and I dropped them both and got Mariota. And that's probably the next game we should probably go into right now because it was probably
we have time?
Yeah, we got a little bit of time.
So I've never seen two quarterbacks. Okay, so we're going to Green Bay, Detroit. This is what we're doing right now. And I watched this game with my own two eyeballs, and I swear to God, man, like, yeah, that first interception, like Aaron Rodgers on the scripted plays in the beginning was good. Jared Goff, first two drives, scripted plays was good. After that, man, Jared Goff sucks. I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, but man, like something's not right with him and that team. How they started off, it's like, man, they've got the best offense, historically great offense, historically bad defense. Now it's just historically bad everything. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, dude, like he's doing these routes and Jared Goff doesn't even get close to him. It is insane. And Aaron Rodgers, man, like those two interceptions were terrible. And what's his name? Greg Olson I love Greg Olson, like commenting and stuff.
Me too.
And he was just like, dude, these two interceptions are like inexcusable, and he's missing all this. Romeo Doubs was injured on the first. He's out 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. It was just like crazy.
Those interceptions by Aaron Rodgers by the goal line, one was just pathetic. But those he's never had two interceptions in his career at the goal line, and he did them against the Lions. It was awful.
Well, they showed the stat of his interceptions like the last 5 years. Do you remember that? It's like 6, 5.
Great ratio.
Dude, he had 3 yesterday.
I know. It's just, and he even had one of his main targets back too, now a Lizard.
So Lazard, if you guessed that Lazard was going to be the dude, you won. He's probably going to get 80 to 100 yards, a touchdown every other game.
Yeah, he had a touchdown, 10 targets, 4 receptions, 87 yards.
He's a great wide receiver too.
Yeah, their running game, which has been pretty good. I mean, we saw Aaron Jones tear it up against the Bills, because he went up against you.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, they're going against the Lions. They're going to kill it. Jones, 9 rushes, 25 yards. The average, I think that's like 2.8 rushing yards per carry. He had 2 receptions for 20 yards. A.J. Dillon outrushed him, outcarried him. He had 11 rushes for 34 yards, 3.1 average, 2 receptions, 10 yards, and 4 targets. A.J. Dillon? Well, yeah. I mean, what was this, a gameplay or something like that? Like this guy.
Aaron Jones he rolled his ankle up like.
Is that what happened? He got injured.
Yeah. So he was walking because I was paying attention to this too, and I think it might have been second or maybe early third quarter, can't remember. But everybody's like, oh my God, dude, there are so many injuries on the Packers. Like Aaron Jones is out, Romeo Doubs is out, this is out.
Yeah.
And so I right before this, because the last thing I saw was that him and Doubs were leaving in the walking boots. I think Dobbs was right, and then Aaron Jones was left. So if they had a pair of walking boots, hey, it worked out great.
Damn.
Damn. Sorry, but so yeah, as Romeo Doubs out 4 to 6 weeks, everybody was like, "Holy crap, dude!" Same thing probably for Aaron Jones. He just tweaked it, and he's probably going to play this next week.
Playing against Cowboys.
And I thought it was funny because I just dropped A.J. Dillon in our 10-man because I was so pissed off.
No, I don't blame you. I started Robert Tonyan.
Dude.
Tonyan. I was like, he should probably do something. Some guy name, dude. Oh my god,
DeGuara?
Josiah DeGora.
DeGuara. Yeah.
DeGuara, 5 receptions, 41 yards, 5 targets. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
So I was going to point that out. Like, I was supposed to click on him and see if he was like what year he is. If he's a, I don't think he's obviously not a rookie. Maybe he is. I don't think so.
I don't know who this guy is.
But I needed to see what year is he. It's like, is this like a breakout player maybe coming up? Because Tanyan, you know, he's had one good game and everybody's been waiting for him to break out because there's nobody else to throw to here.
I got another thing. Oh, go on.
No, it's DeGuara, dude, especially with Romeo Dobbs out. Like, you can almost start him next week. I don't know.
This is the next thing, right? This is part of the reason why I wanted to go into this game. Who's going to replace TJ Hawkinson? He got James Mitchell. Yeah, 2 receptions, 8 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 targets. Is he the new tight end? Or is it Shane, another crazy name I can't pronounce, Zylstra? 1 reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown, 1 target. New tight end. Which one is it? They both got touchdowns. At the goal line. Who's it going to be?
I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is, I wonder what these guys would say when they're trying to pronounce your last name. They'd be like, "You Uth."
But you also like, I'm so
name
bad. Like, I have a pen that's like dying of ink, and I just won't get a new one. So like half of these names are just
mine are. I was like, some of this is a permanent marker, and it looked good when I wrote it. Now it's like blurred over. But no, dude. Hey, Khalif. I was looking at what you said, and I was like, they're not replacing Hawk. I was talking about this dude, Khalif Raymond, in a couple of my waiver shows, because he was getting some of the plays that like the Amon-Ra plays when Amon-Ra was out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what he was going to do, but Amon-Ra got the same amount of targets, and then this dude got 3 targets. But Jared Goff sucks so bad, dude. It was 100. He threw the ball 26 times and got 137 yards out of it.
137 yards. Out of 26
I can't believe he got the 2 touchdowns. And those 2 touchdowns were just whatever.
The Packers secondary is pretty decent, but damn, 26 times, 137 yards. Before we only got like a couple, like 45 seconds left. DeAndre Swift, I heard he was on a pitch count. He only got the ball 2 times, 10 yards. He had three receptions for 40 yards. Jamal Williams.
He looked good.
Jamal Williams had 24 rushes for 81 yards. That does not help his average.
It was a revenge game, and he looked like it. He's not good, but he looked like it was a revenge game.
Yeah, so I would just keep an eye on the updates with DeAndre Swift.
A-Rod and Goff. Do whatever you want to do with them. If you're in a 10-man league, just drop them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And I got out Mariota. And
they did not pass the eye. They did not pass the eye test.
No. Okay.
Thank you so much for watching.
We got a quick break. We'll be back. If you watched this whole video, please like it. If you didn't watch this whole video, somehow use your mind to click the thumbs down, leave a comment, subscribe. We need the subscriptions. We need to go live.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Thank you.